Mma Analyst here to give you my predictions for UFC on Fox 5. Finally, these guys are getting it together. Finally, they recognize if you want casual or even less than casual fans, sports fans, MMA fans, if you want them to start to look into your product more seriously, if you want them to get hooked, if you want that Forrest Griffin, what's his name, Stephen Bonner tough fight, if that's what you want, you got to put in some top level guys, you got to put in exciting people, and you got to put them on free TV, and that's what we got here, folks. So good job, guys. Took you 5 times, you finally did it. And that's not even including all the horrible on fuel fights and stuff. But you did it. That's all that matters. So, let's go down this card. Ben Henderson versus Nate Diaz. All right, look. I already said I thought that Ben Henderson was going to win. But looking at these top 3 fights, one of these favorites is going to lose. One of them's going to lose. Nate Diaz, obviously, his problem is wrestling. He was able to, defeat some pretty solid people. He took out Jim Miller, which was very surprising to me. He's been proving me wrong over and over again, and I'm a huge Nate Diaz fan. I'm an even bigger Nate Diaz fan. There's no other brothers that I'm fans of more, I don't think. Maybe the Nogueira brothers, but nah, the Diaz brothers. Anyways, the point is, he's been doing his thing. And Ben Henderson, who I am a fan of, I thought he lost to Frankie Edgar in that second fight for sure. So, but whatever. How Frankie Edgar won that fight is not something that Nate Diaz is going to be able to do. So it's not like he can be like, well, Ben was a little lackadaisical against Frankie Edgar and Nate can just follow that game plan. It's not going to happen. Nate's going to do what Nate does. He's going to do what Nick does. He's going to do what the Diaz brothers do. He's going to move around. He's going to throw them a little poppity-pop, try to throw to the body. And the question is, what is Ben going to do? Is Ben going to say, oh, yeah, this is great. All right, haha, let's play. Or is he going to say, let's get this fight to the ground? When he gets the fight to the ground, is he going to say, all right, I got you? Or is he going to say, all right, let's not play around? Because at any given time, Nate can win this fight. He can catch him in a submission. Ben loves not tapping to submissions. It seems like it's part of his game plan. And in round 2, I'm going to let him put me in something real dangerous that most people would tap to, but I'm not going to tap. And I'm going to get points for it. And it's kind of cool when it happens. And it happened a lot. But you can't do that against Nate. You just can't do it. Well, at the top of 5 rounds... Nate's not going to get tired. I don't know. It depends. If Ben looks at his last fight against Frankie and says, look, I should have lost that fight. I got lucky. Thank the Lord Jesus. I'm going to come out here and do what I got to do. Then Nate could probably be in serious trouble because the way Nate ran through, Ben ran through Jim Miller was extremely impressive. I mean, they both whooped on little Jim. But the way Ben did it, is something that he could also do to somebody like Nate, which is just overpower, strong, control, stay out of dangerous areas, and wear somebody down. So if he comes like that, very focused for 5 rounds, he'll win. If he slips up at any given time, he could lose. I'm going to stay with Ben Henderson winning this fight. All right? Even as I was going through that prediction, I didn't know where I was gonna go, but I'm gonna guess that Ben wants to be the champ, and he's not going to be smooth. He's gonna be deadly, and he's gonna be extremely he's gonna be deadly. At the same time, he's gonna be careful, right? Not too careful, but careful enough that he's not gonna get submitted, but carefree enough that he's not just gonna be sliding around the cage as Nate punches him and stuff like that. So I'm going to go with Ben Henderson, 4 rounds to 1. I think he might get dropped in a round. And he might even be in a tough situation for a submission once. I'm rooting, as much as I do like Ben Henderson, I'm rooting for Nate. So if he wins, I'm not going to be upset. unless I bet on this. Then I gotta really just root for whoever I'm betting on. But anyways, I'm gonna pick Ben Henderson via decision. All right, next, is this the one where I'm gonna go against the favorite, Shogun versus Alexander Gustafsson? All right. Yes, it actually is, and it's not because I'm a big Shogun fan. That's not why. The reason is because Gustafsson's done his thing. He's been out there. A lot of people see his skinniness and his long reach, but they don't realize that long reach, it's not really that much longer than Shogun's. I think he might have like an inch. He might have an inch advantage in reach. And Shogun, as much as he's not who he used to be, he can definitely move over top and counter over one of those soft jabs. You know, Gustafsson likes using his reach, and that works against, you know, Matyshenko, you know, Matt Hamill, you know. It'll work against those guys, but I don't think Alexander Gustafsson has the striking ability defensively or defensive offense to deal with Shogun coming out there and going at him. Now, if Shogun comes out here and looks like he did against Bryan Caraway, oh yeah, he lost. He lost already. He might as well just stay in the dressing room because that's horrible. And to be honest, you know, he's not old. He just turned 31. He's younger than me, you know what I mean? But he's been fighting forever. So in fighting years, this dude's old. You know what I mean? He's old. So it's difficult there. But his striking is, in my opinion, greater than Alexander Gustafsson's. Now, we've got that problem with the takedowns. Gustafsson wants to get this fight to the ground. He'll tap him in the chest, and Shogun will fall back and fall into half guard. Or a butterfly guard or something. And then he ends up getting tired. And then he's never even close to in the fight again. Then he loses. I know. It doesn't look good. The pick looks kind of crazy. I think he's going to come out there aggressive right off the bat and get an early knockout. I mean, that's kind of almost all he can do. But I do think that's what he's going to do as well. And just to see if I was just, you know, riding Shogun, you know, what have I said in the past? Just to see if I'm just acting foolish. All right, so against Brandon Vera, I thought he would win. He should have won. He did win, but it was ugly. Dan Henderson. I believe I picked Dan Henderson to win. Dan Henderson won. Forrest Griffin, of course he's going to win. He won. John Jones. I think I picked for John Jones to lose. All right, I was wrong. Lyoto Machida in the rematch, I picked him to win. He did. Lyoto Machida in the first fight, I picked him to win. He did. I mean, he didn't, but he did. Chuck Liddell, I picked him to win. He did. So really, in all of his fights in the UFC, he's lost 4 times. Out of the 4 times that he's lost, the first time nobody picked him to lose except for people who didn't know who Shogun was or didn't know that he had no knees at the time. And then in his John Jones fight, I also picked him to win. So I've only been wrong twice. Legitimately, I've been wrong 3 out of 4 times, but out of his losses. But we all know that he didn't lose that first fight to Lyoto Machida. So anyways, I'm not just dick riding. That's all I'm saying. I truly believe what I'm saying. If I didn't say what I was saying, then I wouldn't believe it. Or if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't say it. However that works. I think Shogun's going to go out there, be aggressive, and get a knockout within the first 2 minutes of the first round. I could be wrong, of course. That's what I'm going with. Next, BJ Penn versus Rory McDonald. All right. BJ Penn. It's almost the same thing. You got BJ Penn, you got Shogun, and then you got Nate. But they're not the same. So let's just stick with these two. BJ and Shogun are the same. Old school, love to fight. Cardio's a big problem. And that's pretty much why BJ Penn's going to lose this fight. Not to mention his situation at welterweight has been greatly expanded by the UFC and exaggerated. I mean, you would think that he was one of the top welterweights of all time, the way the UFC talks about him as a fighter. Now, BJ Penn is a great fighter in the sense that he just got the skill set. And what he's done, and when he did it, and how long he's been in the game, and all that good stuff, he's the man. But at welterweight, he's not the man, and he never has been. He's always been too small. He's always been outpowered. He's always been, undersized. And in this situation, it's not going to change. Rory McDonald's going to have every advantage except coolness, which unfortunately doesn't help, and striking. But the striking won't really matter because Rory will just start running in there and trying to dump him on his head. And not to say that BJ Penn's the easiest guy to take down, because he's not. But he becomes easier to take down as he's pushed up against that cage and gets tired, eventually losing anything he has and then quitting late in the fight. Now, if BJ Penn can stuff Rory McDonald's takedowns and not get tired, I mean, that's always the case. If he can do that, then BJ Penn will almost always win. But he rarely ever is able to actually stuff takedowns without getting extremely tired. So I got to go with Rory McDonald by going, just a well-rounded game, throwing strikes, getting in close, pushing up against the cage, wall and stall, trying to get takedowns, sometimes failing, succeeding, not getting submitted. If a BJ Penn submission in the game is yeah, it is. It's great. In theory and in the past, but what he normally does is he hurts you and then he submits you. He doesn't actually just get taken down and then throw a go-go plot on you. It's just not what he does. All right, so Rory McDonald not being an unrefined noob like he was against Carlos Condit and actually getting the fight done. I'm really rooting for BJ Penn. I'm really rooting for Shogun, and I'm really rooting for Nate Diaz. Big time. Mike Swick versus Matt Brown. Pretty simple here, in my opinion. Matt Brown, he's on a 3-fight winning streak, but I don't think he's going to beat Mike Swick. He has like this grittiness about him that works just over half the time. 15 wins, 11 losses. His last 3 wins, they're okay wins. It's better than losing, which what he did 4 out of his last 5 fights before that. But, yeah, I got to go with Mike Swick having, he's going to be in there. Cardio is going to be okay. His striking is going to be far superior. His power is going to be crazy. And I see Mike Swick just all around being better than Matt Brown. And finishing Matt Brown either in the second round or winning 3 rounds to nothing. So there you go. Undercard. What's on this undercard? I got Jeremy Stevens over Edwards, Mike Easton over Assunção, Najem over Proctor, Martinez over Cruickshank, LeVesseur over Trujillo, and Siver over Fan, and Scott Jorgensen over John Albert. Alright. It's going to be a great card. Nate Diaz versus Ben Henderson. If Nate can keep this on the feet, it's going to be one of the best fights of the year. Shogun, do your thing, please. BJ, same thing. Keep this on the feet. Knock someone out. Mike Swick versus Matt Brown, or whatever. But it's going to be exciting. This is what they need to do, all right? So, good job, guys. Also, Dream 18 is going to be on New Year's Eve. That's dope. I don't care what they do all year long. At the end, it just doesn't seem right without some kind of New Year's Eve event. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't seem the same. It's like a little tradition I go through every year. I got married on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day or however that works, New Year's Eve. And then the morning of that, I'm up watching in the blue. You know what I'm saying? So I do every year, 5 years in a row now. I mean, I did it before, but with the marriage, anniversary, and then all that stuff. So, really excited for the fights. MMA is important. Peace.